Come on. Good.
Is that action? All right, what's up, you sexy motherfuckers? Anyways, Sean here. Obviously, I'm going to give you guys a little overview of what we're doing on our program for this cycle. So this cycle, the things we're going to be focused on as far as our Metcon focus is going to be on gearing up towards open and doing open style workouts. A lot of these are going to be in our gear 3, 2.5 to 3 department, working on that really high cycle rate of movements to where you're not necessarily fatigued or limited by your movements themselves, but more or less your overall fatigue level. So a couple of the standards. The first one is the burpee. The burpee has now changed to where we have to leave the ground with both feet on the way back and the way up. So when we're doing a burpee, you need to kick both feet back at the same time and then jump both feet forward at the same time. So whether that's a bar facing burpee, a burpee box jump, whatever the case may be, they're not allowing the step. I'm sure that in the scaled version, they will allow the step. So if we need for some of our athletes to have the step still in place for them to maintain intensity, then let's definitely do so. For the athletes that are able to maintain that jump and continue a high cycle rate, definitely go with the jump. When we get into anything with the dumbbells, with the dumbbell power cleans, you're going to have your 2 dumbbells. They're going to start with both heads in contact with the floor, and they're going to come up to where you have extension with the hips, and the dumbbell should be all the way on the shoulder. Trevor, would you mind grabbing a dumbbell real quick? Or two light ones? Not heavy, we don't want to be working out. And then as far as the dumbbell snatch, when we do the dumbbell snatch, we want to make sure that your free hand is actually free. So you can't have an elbow on the knee here. So, thank you. So with your dumbbell clean, both heads are on the ground. We're going to drive with full extension, and when you land, you should have straightened hips and knees and your shoulders stacked, and one dumbbell has to be behind the midline of the body. Okay, when you come down, dumbbell touches the ground and back up. Okay, when you come down, the dumbbell only does have to tap one head of the dumbbell. As far as the dumbbell snatch, free hand, come up, overhead. When you come down, you cannot change arms in the air until you're below your face. Then I may change, come back up. So this is a no rep. They're not going to allow that. So let's make sure when you come down, below your face, then change and go to your next rep. All right. So next thing, gymnastic focus. We're going to be working on kipping. In one of our days, we have handstand push-ups. With the handstand push-up, some of the things I'm looking for to really drive home the kipping is there's a progression of how to go through the kick. So it starts, you're going to kick up to the wall, your head goes to the floor, ass to the wall, knees to your chest, and then kick and punch with your head through. Let's demonstrate. Come up, you have to get control before going down, head on the floor, ass on the wall, knees to your chest. Make sure the hip is turning over. So this is no go, right? That's not my hip, that's my knees. So make sure your hip is actually turning over and then kick and punch, okay? So the rep has to start at the top. Make sure our athletes are really working on turning the hips over. That's what drives them up. It's not the knees, so it's really important that we get that fact. The next thing, there's 2 positions in our gymnastic movements we need to be really crucial about, and that's the hollow and the arch position. Starting at the hollow, we're going to be pushing the palms down to maintain a hollow position, and this is the hollow I'm looking for. The arch is the exact opposite, pulling through. So your head is in front, toes are behind. Those are going to need to be executed during all of our hanging from a bar kipping movements, whether it's toes to bar, bar muscle ups, pull ups, chest to bar. Those movements need to stay intact, and that's how we're going to start the movement. So when we start pull-ups, which are also we have in a workout this week, I want them to be starting in this hanging position, pushing into a hollow position, pulling into an arch, push, pull. This is generated from the shoulder, not the legs. So the way you need to think about this is press your palms down to come into your hollow, and then pull your chest through to come into the arch. This is going to help keep people stay away from that big giant swing. Okay, if we start going too much legs, that's when we get in the swing. And I know you guys know what that looks like. It looks like this position that people always end up in. right? This is big swing. So if we start with the shoulders and let the feet follow, they're not going to have that big swing. As far as tap swings are just simply transitioning between this hollow and arch. This is going to be a great drill we're utilizing in our warm-up to carry over to our gymnastic progression. So tap swing looks like this. Come to a dead hang, and then we're going to start in a hollow and arch. Hollow and arch. Okay, and we're trying to create tension here to have a snappy transition in between. This is not a slow, controlled movement. This is creating tension, and you should feel like the athletes should feel like something wants to pop or something wants to snap to release tension upwards to the bar. Now, our strength focus. We're going to be focusing on 3 movements this week. That's going to be our sumo deadlift, our strict press, and our back squat. Sumo deadlift, we all know what this movement is. The number one thing that I want people to consider is their knees need to be out of the way. Your toes dictate that. If your toes are straight ahead, your knees are going to be in the way. If your toes are out, you're going to be able to be clear. As far as how wide you should put your feet, the thing I like to tell people is that when you squat down to the bar, you should have a vertical shin, knee on top of the heel. Okay, so if they're so wide, where the knee is on the inside of the heel, that's too wide. Next, I'd like people to stay a double overhand hook grip if they can. If that fails, then let's roll into the switch grip. As far as these sumo deadlifts go, they will not be touch and go. So the way this will work is, let's pretend there's some weights on this bar. I'm gonna get my air, stand up, hold onto the bar, come down. Now the weight is on the ground, full reset, new breath, stand up. Okay, we're really focusing on staying in contact with the bar, but each rep needs to be started from a dead stop on all of our strength structures. So obviously not the back squat, because you're not going to set it down at the bottom. But on our strict press and our sumo deadlift, you want to come to a full stop and get a new breath of air to create tension once again for every single rep, for the press and for the deadlift. Back squat, normal stuff on the back squat. Next, weightlifting. So we're going to be really utilizing the quads. A lot of people kind of miss the quads out. Quads are a huge part of our lift, and they're really our finishers. So absolutely, do your hamstrings work, your glutes, your erectors, everything, for sure. But the top of the finish is done with your quads and your hips. So the big boat that I see that a lot of people in our gyms are kind of running into, is pretty common across the board, is the banging of the hips, okay? So what that looks like is this, okay? And that's what happens at that point is people are not continuing to travel the bar up their legs and finish up with the quads, okay? This upward finish here, which is actually the same finish that you would use for a jerk. So when you are trying to explain this to your athletes, the best way that I like to do this is go from position 1, or what I call the high hang, let's call this position 1, and finish straight up, okay? Whether you're a snatch or a clean or a jerk, this is the same top finish position. This is the end goal of all of our weightlifting, and this is crucial to hit. So when we get to this point, we need to make sure our athletes are really focusing on driving up with their quads, if that makes sense. So when our complex comes about, we have the complex today, this week, that is 2 clean pulls and 1 full squat clean. This is going to be done just like our deadlift without letting our hands off the bar, and you will get a new breath and reset at the bottom of every rep. So this is what this whole complex will look like. From here, I'm going to start. You know what? I'll grab some Tens real fast. Thank you. So this whole complex looks like this. We're going to set up, eyes straight ahead, flat back. You can see me here. Eyes straight ahead, flat back. Press your legs, finish up, and pull. Come back down. New breath. Drive, finish up, and pull. Come back down. Same exact pull needs to be executed, but now we're going to actually finish the lift. It looks like this. Okay, at the very top of the clean, they're more than welcome to drop the bar off their shoulders, but I want them to stay in contact and keep this a complex rather than one pull, drop the bar, walk around for 5 minutes, come back for the next pull. So it should stay in a relatively close amount of time. They're going to be building up to a relative heavy complex. I'm out of breath. So when they're building up to a relatively heavy complex, we're looking for something that's gonna maintain those snappy mechanics. So I don't care if they make the lift and that's a good rep. That does not qualify a good rep. I want them to focus on that finish up with the quads and make sure that it is absolutely to the best of their capability, and that is gonna be the heavy rep, not just, oh, I could make more weight, okay? Excuse me. So that's in our weightlifting focus. That will be the same when we roll into the snatch. We're gonna be utilizing that same type of complex. Our numbers may vary throughout this block as far as, 3 pulls, 2 snatches, or 2 and 1 like this week, whatever it may be. But that exact same focus is gonna be the same regardless of whether it's a snatch or a clean, okay? So if it's snatch, literally the same thing, just different hand placement. After the last thing I want to touch on is our aerobic development pieces. So we're gonna have 2 of them per week. One of them is gonna be a waving structure of pacing and really building the long, slow aerobic base. So anywhere between a 30 to 60 minute structure. And like this week we have, I believe it's a 6 minutes at a 6. Yeah, it is. So whether it's run or row, we can do either. We could even bike here if we wanted to. All I'm looking for is a monostructural modal here that allows people to have a slow aerobic basal time and really work on their pacing. So we're gonna do 6 minutes at a 6 out of 10 RPE. So if you guys aren't familiar with the RPE, it's a rate of perceived exertion. I'll attach a whole workbook on that. But bottom line is that the 6 RPE, that should feel conversational and just outside of warm-up pace. So they should be able to sustain this for a long period of time. So this is kind of their comfort zone. After that, after the 6 minutes, they're gonna roll immediately into 4 minutes at a 7 out of 10 RPE. So now we've passed the warm-up zone. You can still communicate in small, choppy sentences, but this isn't something you're just bullshitting around, running with your buddy, talking about whatever you did last night. So this should be definitely a little bit less comfortable. After our 4 minutes here, we're gonna go into 2 minutes at 8 RP. With this 8, you should feel like this pace is difficult to maintain for a long duration of time, and also you could not tell a story, say a sentence, whatever, maybe a couple quick words, but that's pretty much it. So this should be a relatively aggressive pace, but keep in mind it's gonna be for a 2 minute period, and then we're going back to that 6 minutes at a 6 RP, and then we build again to 4 minutes at a 7, 2 minutes at 8, and that's for 3 cycles. The next one that we have coming up with this monostructural issue is our assault bike intervals. So in a perfect world, everyone had assault bikes. I would like for this to be done 100% on assault bikes. Reason being is because there's almost no technique involved. Clearly there's some biking technique, but you're able to put out a whole lot more power consistently on a bike than you are on a rower, especially for people who aren't very proficient at rowing. So if you have bikes, definitely put the people who are less efficient rowers on the bikes. So if you have both and you have a brand new person should be on a bike. The experienced rower is gonna have a whole lot better time maintaining intensity on the rower and having a higher output than a new person would on the rower. So what I'm looking for is in this workout is 30 seconds of maximum effort. So I'm talking balls to the wall for 30 seconds. You are giving everything you got. You're going for max calories. So 30 seconds is a long time to be in that dead sprint. If you have athletes that are new or that have a relative low capacity, 30 seconds is way longer than it sounds. Since I'm looking for that super, super aggressive pace, for some of these guys, we may need to bring that down to 20 seconds because the extra 10 seconds is a lot. So if you have someone who's new and can't maintain that intensity, then we'll take that time to maintain down. Also, with these new people, this might be something for people who are very deconditioned to take down to like 2 or 3 rounds. So you as coaches, you guys need to make your judgment calls. And if you have your new people in the gym who this is gonna ruin their week, that is something to where you need as a coach to be on top of that and make sure they're doing the appropriate structure for them. Okay, this is obviously a hard workout, but we want people leaving here feeling like they got their ass kicked, but they're gonna come back and get some more. They shouldn't feel like they're gonna go to the hospital. After that, I think we're pretty set on our movement standards here. With the wall walk, I will go over the wall walk. I feel like the wall walks are very important. This is something I want all skill levels doing, whether they can do strict deficit handstand push-ups or not. The wall walk is very important for people to stay in their hollow position. So as we're doing our wall walk, hey Trevor, you want to do a wall walk real quick? This is the last thing.
Thank God.
Shh, peanut gallery. All right. So with our wall walk, kind of the points I'm looking for is we're going to start out in a push-up position, stretched out on the wall. They can start out all the way on the ground if they want to, so start out on the bottom, do their push-up, and then they're going to start elevating the feet in small steps. Okay, as they get into the feet, they're going to bring their hands in closer. But notice his butt. Check out this butt. Nice butt, right? But it's got to stay out. So the moment that it pushes in towards the wall and we get this sag, that's no good. So hips need to stay out at all times. So touching the wall may not be an option for a lot of people. At this point, we're going to look for a stacked position. So the hips are on top of the shoulders, on top of the hands, in a straight line. That's our end goal. And we're going to pause here for 5 seconds. Then your athlete will start by walking their hands back out, making sure the hips stay up, and then start tiptoeing back down rather than sliding. Okay, once they return to a full push-up position, the rep is over. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so thank you, Trevor. So the big things here are the hips. That's the number one thing I gotta have you guys looking at is this can never happen, ever. Okay, so ass out, tell them to stink bug, flash their ass, I don't know, whatever you wanna do. Now, so I guess I do have one more thing. GHD sit-ups on Saturdays, extra credit. We have GHD sit-ups are programmed in as an option, and I have it in the notes there. You got to read that, but make sure that your newer athletes absolutely do not do any more than 30 GHD sit-ups in the entire day. So not just in a row, but literally in the entire session. So if your athlete has never done a GHD sit-up before, they are not allowed to do more than 30. This is a super easy way. It's a huge range of motion to get rhabdo. So we definitely don't want people just jumping into a fuck ton of reps. So make sure that those athletes that are doing GHD sit-ups are prepared for that and have done them before in lower volumes. Okay. I think that's it. Girls, what do you want from me?